Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Different, and welcome to Different's Well YouTube channel. I hope you guys out there are having a wonderful day like your girl, and if not, manifest, plan, and prepare for a better one, because I guarantee you guys it's surely coming to you all for sure. And if this is your first, second, or third time to my YouTube channel, welcome. Happy to have you guys. And before you leave, definitely hit that subscribe button for your girl and that notification bell, so when I drop content, you guys come into Different's Well and you come and learn what's going on. Speaking of coming and learning, you guys, I'm an author, motivational speaker, and CEO of my own small business, Third Eye Entertainment, LLC, a business that strives to bring social awareness to society through our products and services in which we educate, inspire, and entertain you guys all at once. So again, first, second, or third time, it don't matter. Just hit that subscribe button for your girl, yeah? So you guys, today is Wednesday, hump day. We almost through this week, ending out April. So you guys know on Wednesdays we do our podcast content, and so this one's no different. I'll be dropping my interview I did with the lovely Gabrielle Crichlow of Hot Topics. Now I know I dropped one previously early on this year. This was the one that we did in 2022. Now the one that I'm dropping today is going to be the one from 2021. It was my intention to drop this back in March for Women's History Month, but it just didn't work out that way. Things happen. Hey. But in any case, you guys, I have it here for you guys today. I want you guys to check it out. This, again, is when I was first starting out, when I first dropped my book, What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift. And she was gracious enough to, show me some love and allow me to come on her podcast, the Hot Topic podcast, and do my thing and share my story and promote my business in my book. And so again, big shout out to Gabrielle, much love to her. And so after you guys checking out my interview and YouTube channel, definitely head on over to hers and show her some love and support. But before that, you guys, let's get into it. And once we come back on, I'll let you guys know a little bit more about what's going on in Different's World, and talk a little bit more about some other things on the agenda. Yeah, here it is.
Well, hello, everyone. It's your girl, Gabrielle. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. And depending on when you are watching this episode, if you are watching or listening, I gotta remember video and audio. If you are taking in this episode on June 20th, 2022, happy Juneteenth observed, I think. Which brings me into the topic for the episode. I'm just going to go right ahead and tell you the topic for our episode. The topic for our episode is Juneteenth. Okay. Now that you know the topic of the episode, I'm going to bring it back. Welcome to our show, Hot Topics. This is the show where we like to have those real conversations. We like to take that kitchen table talk and we like to put it all out there in the open, all for the purpose of education and learning. And today I am looking forward to this topic because today we are going to talk about Juneteenth, right? So Juneteenth Juneteenth became a federal holiday last year. And today, I guess technically today we are celebrating it in full force, right? So you may have noticed that the post office is closed. People are taking days off. I'm not sure if schools are closed. But today is the first full force 100% celebration of Juneteenth as a federal holiday. And we're here to talk about it. So we're here to talk about the history, how we got here, and what does this mean for us going forward. So I am looking forward to having this discussion, and I have a guest with me who is going to help me with this conversation. Her name is Difernt Caldwell, and I am going to tell you about her. So I'm just going to get right to it. Who is Difernt Caldwell? Let me tell you who she is. So Difernt Caldwell was born on December 15, 1990 in Houston, Texas, 5th Ward. overcoming homelessness and foster care. She had a normal childhood up until the time she was around the age of 11. Then her and her family ended up homeless. For the next 3 years, Different and her family would live in various places, including strangers' houses, cars, parks, bus stops, shelters, and even a crack house. At the age of 14, she was secretly placed in foster care, and after the first 6 months of being in the system and trying to get out, give me 1 second. I'm just going to do this small thing here. Okay. She discovered that in the state of Texas, small foster kids who aged out of care, college tuition fees were waived. A light bulb went off in Different's head. She then used her street smarts to elevate her book smarts, in which led to Different beating the odds. She is now an alumni of Sam Houston State University and a member of the Beta Theta chapter of Pi Chi Theta. She graduated receiving her BA in International Business with 2 minors in Economics and Business Communication and a master's in Entrepreneurship. She is also a Texas real estate agent. She has a love for traveling and has visited over 50 countries and participated in amateur kickboxing. Her hobbies include reading, watching Shark Tank, journaling, meditating, biking, ATV riding, ziplining, and hanging out with her best friend, who is her nephew. Different always knew she was meant for greatness, however. She understood to become the person she was meant to be, it would take fixing her inner issues that plagued her past. It was not until she found the courage to do something about her depression and dismissed the notion that Black people don't do therapy. While in therapy, Different was encouraged to channel her negative experiences into a positive outcome. All right, and for those of you watching this on screen, her contact information is at the bottom of the screen. And I do want to shout out that she has a book, which we're going to talk about later. You can purchase her book on her website. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to bring Different to the stage. Hi, Different, how are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here and to share a hot topic with you. I'm laughing because you butchered my fraternity. It's Phi Chi Theta. But that's okay. Shout out to them and the Bearcats. And yes, you guys, what's up? My name is Different, spelled Different. I'm an author, motivational speaker, and CEO of my own business, Third Eye Entertainment LLC, a business that strives to bring social awareness to society through our products and services in which it educates, inspires, and entertains all at once. And I'm just so happy to be here with you, ladies. So thank you so much for having me. Let's get to it.
All right. Sorry about the butchering. But yes, thank you for coming on. So today we're going to talk about Juneteenth, and I wanted to, have an honest discussion about,
Yes.
what it is and how we got here, and what does this mean going forward. So let's get right into it.
So let's get into it.
Yeah. So let's start with the basic question. What is it? What is Juneteenth?
So Juneteenth is the name, that's what it's been titled, for the day that slaves found out that they were free from slavery. It turned out that on June 19, 1865, where General Granger, I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name, but Granger rode into Galveston, Texas, and finally, 2 months after General Robert E. Lee of the South was defeated, he was able to infiltrate and get into Galveston, Texas, and notify mass slaves that they were free. All a total of 250,000 slaves, which at most point was where in Texas, where most slaves were located. That was the largest, besides Florida. Texas was one of the largest places where slaves were held. And so General Granger was able to get there and notify the slaves there, around $250,000 per people, or slaves, if you will, and they led the revolution in spreading the word of their freedom to other slaves in different southern states. It wasn't until around 1872 when Black businessmen in Galveston started coming together and celebrating. They originally called it the Jubilee or Freedom Day. They later changed it to Juneteenth, with the mesh of June and the 19th mixed together. They would have parties and festivities and parades and rodeo. They also purchased, I believe, 10 acres of land in Houston, Texas, where I'm from, and called it Emancipation Park, which is actually where they hold a big festival every year. They actually had one yesterday for Juneteenth. And so years down the road, in 1980, a Black legislator in the state of Texas by the name of Al Edwards, I believe, he actually pushed for Juneteenth being recognized as a holiday in the state of Texas in January 1980. That's when Juneteenth officially became an actual holiday. Pushing it forward to June 2021, it's now a federal holiday. So.
Thank you so much for that. So just to reiterate, it just recently became a federal holiday just last year. So let's talk about the word itself, Juneteenth. That signifies a specific day. What day is that?
June 19th. Again, that's the day that General Granger was able to notify. That's the day that they found out that they were free. They were actually free 2 years prior to that date in 1863, where President Abraham Lincoln originally came up with the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing of all Southern slaves. However, due to Southern slaveholders withholding that information from their slaves, they wasn't going to let their grand prize go, so they didn't know. And mind you, slaves down south did not know how to read or write, as well as any type of communication, such as people sending letters, trying to notify, or printing any type of newspapers, trying to notify Black slaves in the South that they were free. That was stopped at the borders. So that's also what took it so long for the slaves to be notified of their freedom. And it wasn't until June 19th, when the day Granger finally made it into Galveston, Texas, and notified one of the marshals there, or one of the laws there, that the slaves were free. And so that was the day that's why that date is important. June 19th was the day that they actually found out that they were free.
So I want to point out something significant was that the slaves were officially freed 2 years prior, but it took about 2.5 years for word to get out. So there was no cell phones, there was no technology.
Yeah.
So
back in the day, just what was that? Oh, good old pen and paper and good old horse Charlie the horse. But also it wasn't just that; it was the fact that the Southern slaves had made it it was on purpose that they withheld that information. They of course they wasn't going to let their slaves go, because that means they would be out of business. But as well as it wasn't until General E. Lee, he finally surrendered after they had ran out of resources as well. This would also help push along the Proclamation of Emancipation, as well as Granger being able to infiltrate Galveston, Texas, because they ran out of the resources to do battles such as running out of ammunition, losing soldiers in battles, lack of medical supplies and food and shelter. And so that also wore down on the South and helped the North win the war as well and free the slaves of the world.
So let's talk about. Let's just want to bring it back a little bit. So can you?
I'm sorry if I'm getting it.
Oh yeah, it's fine. So let's go back to the 2-year part. So why did it take so long for why did it take 2 years? What was going on in that time?
Well, doing my research, Gabrielle, I found that again, these were the main reasons with prolonged slaves in the South being notified of their freedom was again the majority of all white slaveholders purposely withheld that information. They were well aware that they were free, but they didn't want to let them go. They were under the command of General Robert E. Lee, not to let the slaves go and to fight to the last of them. And so that was a big part of it. Of course, the second part of it being that slaves were, illiterate. They did not know how to read or write. So even if information such as, the newspapers or people writing letters to down south, even if they were able to make it in, it was a moot point because slaves couldn't read or write, so they wouldn't know what they were looking at. Also, again, lack of communications or the various resources with communication. It took a long time for news to travel in itself, and so mind you that there's a war going on, so not many messengers are trying to go back and forth and spread the news of the slaves' freedom on only people such as Harriet Tubman when she did the Underground Railroad. Of course, people who helped her and other abolitionists that helped. They also go on these runs, risking their lives, trying to notify people of the South of their freedom. But again, those were the main issues and problems. Slaveholders withholding the information, illiteracy, as well as lack of resources when it came to traveling and communication. It just took a long time for word to get around. Even when the slaves were notified in 1865, and it was they made sure to go to where a lot of the slaves were, which was in Texas. That's why Ranger went to Galveston, because that's where the majority of the slaves were. Over 250,000 slaves in Texas at that time. And so they went to a place where other slaves can get the word out to other slaves that they were free in the masses. And so even when they got to Texas and notified, it still took some time. It didn't take as long as 2 years, but it still took months for other slaves in different states to know of their freedom as well.
So it took the cooperation of other free Black people to let.
Once we got the news, once Granger came and gave us the news, we ran and told everybody else that was in different states, other southern slave states. But keep in mind that it was risky as well, and so it still took a while. But what was done was done. You couldn't unring a bell. Once they hit Texas, it spread like wildfire, if you will, because that was where the masses of the slaves were.
So, Texas was the last state to receive the news, correct?
I wouldn't say the last state, but it was the important state to give the news. It had the most slaves too. They could have gone to any other state, but when they finally infiltrated Texas or went to Galveston, that's where the catalyst of the blood bug was planted, if you will, for it to spread, because that's where most of the slaves were. If that makes sense.
Right. So the majority of slavery was in Texas, so they traveled to all the other states.
But so once the slaves in Texas were notified, then they went to different states, or once they were able to have freedom and get out and about and were traveling through other states, they notified all the other slaves, hey, free, spreading the words. I think most of them, I want to say I think, but doing my research, found that some of them, even once they found out their freedom, that they were free and they made it to the north, they joined in, part of the abolitionists or, groups to come back and notify other slaves of their freedom in the South. They started to, come together and be more organized with notifying it afterwards.
Interesting. All right, so let's bring it back. Let's bring it to today. So, what do you think the significance is of this holiday being a federal holiday? What do you think it means for us?
I think it's a tip of the iceberg as far as an acknowledgement goes and a step towards reparation for us when it comes to whites admitting the injustice and racial hardship that Black people have faced. It's a start, and they need to keep going. I can appreciate, now being off and celebrating a day that acknowledges, all the hardship that we've been through, and hopefully in acknowledgement of the hardship that we're still going through, and in ways and hopes that we can come up with to create a change and stop going through what I could call a systemic pandemic or endemic, if you will, something that's, I don't want to say anything that's, gonna sound too radical. So just try to say I'm a little, mind my P's and Q's, if you will. So feel free to jump in and say it together.
No, I mean, you say whatever you want to say. It's hot topics. But yes, I guess if you want to get radical, it's up to you.
FBI coming knocking at my door, but although this book, some people will think it's radical, it's not. It's just I'm one who likes to, push the envelope or, ring the bell and make you think, if you will. I'm that type of person. And so hopefully with this holiday, Juneteenth, finally being recognized as a federal holiday now, when people ask, well, hey, why is there no work day on Juneteenth? Now it's up to us to explain to them why. That's our opportunity to spread the word. It's people ask the question, what's it going to take, for people to understand and see our problems or what we're going through. Put it in their faces. Let them know every chance that we get, every opportunity that's given to us. They may not like the fact that they're celebrating Juneteenth, but I guarantee they're not complaining that they don't have to go to work now because of us. And so it's little things like that over time, it's my hope and prayer that when we have these conversations, push these envelopes, talk about systemic racism and injustice, and over time, we can create systemic change. Quite frankly, I'm tired of talking about systemic racism. I want to talk about systemic change. And so, which is why I wrote my book. It's a book, like I said, it's meant to, get you thinking, but it's also, it's a means to end, it's a point to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and
I don't want to get too off topic, so I want to wait till you ask the questions before I move on.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a fair point. I think, because I, to be honest, I didn't really know too much about this holiday either, and so it's like in recent years I started learning about it. So I think the fact that, while I am a little suspect about how this became a federal holiday, I think the fact that, just like I was saying, today is we're celebrating in full force. Like now, people of all races are forced to think like, whoa, like what is the meaning of this holiday, and the usual commercialism. I mean, I don't really care about the commercial. Listen, if Walmart wants to do a Juneteenth ice cream, you go right ahead. So because
it make money off of our pay and profit off of our pay. I don't think so. No, I some things I disagree with on that. Some they may take advantage of it, but in any case, it goes hand in hand, because whether they're talking about it good or bad, they're still talking about it. Talking about Juneteenth. And so they'll run.
Yeah. And I mean that's that's a fair point. Like, why are you commercializing this? But then it's like they do it for every other holiday. There's Martin Luther King, ice cream discounts, and there's Independence Day discounts. So like, why not a Juneteenth discount? But um, but I think the fact that it's out there now, even if it is commercialized, it's forcing people to think, and it's forcing people to ask questions, and it's putting it in the mainstream media, and it's putting it in their face. So do you think it's a good thing that it's in people's faces?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I hate to say bad publicity, but bad publicity is better than no publicity, I say. But in any case, this is a bad publicity. It's like you said, it makes you think. It rings a bell. It asks a question. A lot of people didn't know, why we're celebrating Juneteenth, and now a lot of people out there are asking questions. Well, why we got this day off? And then it's my hope that somebody out there is telling them it's because this was the day that slaves found out that they were free from slavery. They didn't have to take, beatings and being shackled and chains anymore this day. This was the day. And so it's important, and I feel, whether they, capitalize on it or not, at least it's being talked about.
So I wanted to get your thoughts on the circumstances that surrounded Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday. I mean, I feel like I'm Miss Paranoid. I'm Mrs. Paranoid.
I feel this. You're not paranoid because I already know what you're thinking, Gabrielle. That's what you're thinking. Yeah. They just made this a federal holiday just to shut our black asses up. That's what. Yes. That's what you're thinking, right? I think the same thing too. But here's what I say: let's take this momentum and let's turn it up on them. Now that they've done this, this like I said, is a tip of the iceberg. So let's keep the heat on them and keep it going and push for more, and we'll get there. Them acknowledging that Juneteenth as a federal holiday is the first step again for them acknowledging that there was wrongdoing on their behalf and then with their people in the past and still in this day. And there is some progress that needs to be made and reparations that should be given. A lot of times, and even though I'm talking about reparations, we probably are, batting 1,000 before we get it. But nothing beats a failure but a try. And what if, Gabrielle, we're the generation that plants the seed for the next generation? And so we'll get there one day. We just got to keep chipping away at it. No matter how hard, how long it may take, we're going to get there.
Mm-hmm. So that's a couple times.
Our ancestors didn't go through none of this in vain, man.
Yeah. I feel like, I know as Black people, I try to look at things as a positive. Like, we still trying to fight for our rights and voting rights and housing and redlining, and we still have all these things going on. Like, and even as soon as slavery ended, the powers that be were like, well, no, and then Jim Crow laws came right after that. But and so we're still fighting. But I think if we kind of look, even over 400. Even if we just look at where we were then and where we are now, I definitely think we've made a lot of progress and we came farther than
we made a lot of progress, Gabrielle. But I can tell you, I think it would be much more simpler if we as a whole, and I'm a realist, so that means just speaking the truth, even if it's the ugly truth, and talking about ourselves.
Go right.
Us as one, the Black community, we got to come together, man, and stick together. Not just on one occasion, but all occasions, man. You've seen it firsthand when it came to Obama, man. When we wanted to get a Black person in office, what we do, we came together, man, and we got him in his office and kept him in the office. So we have shown just how powerful we can be, and when we come together and move as one, and as a powerful forceful as one at that. And so it's going to take us coming together, people that are, that have large platforms and that have the opportunity to get out there and promote and speak on these issues that people like to sweep under the rug, no matter if it hurts the bag or if it hurts, your clientele. Sometimes speaking the truth, you got to take that L if it's worth it, man. And I know with me in my book, a lot of the people, I've lost a lot of friends in the process, and that's okay because, for me, it's worth it. In the end, it's going to pay off. I feel and believe it, as a matter of fact, that, what I'm speaking is the truth. It's not a lie. And so it's nothing that I'm doing wrong with this book, and it's going to catch fire just like it's supposed to. And so with me, that's one of the issues that in itself, they gave us the rope, but we're hanging ourselves when we don't come together. So it's on us to cut the rope and start building and binding, bridges between one another. And when we do that, then we will be able to rebuild in ourselves and be able to suffice and not have to depend on them and call for reparations, because they're not going to give it to us. They feel like, I think, to them, this is good enough. And so that's why it's my hope and prayer that, with this Juneteenth being a federal holiday, we keep pushing for more and more recognition and acknowledgement. And hopefully, but that's a long shot, to be honest with you, they repay us in some way. But that's going to take us coming together and sticking together and keep speaking on the issue and keep putting it in the face and not letting them off the gas.
So it's a couple times that you, or a few times that you brought up reparations. Can you talk about that? What is it? What are reparations?
Well, if anybody's heard that saying 40 acres in the mill, that's basically what they're talking about. Payback for all the hardship that, when the slaves were going back to what reparations started was when the slaves were freed, it was stated that in reparation or repayment for all the injustice and hardship that slaves have faced, each man would receive 40 acres in the mill as repayment for what they had been through. And they never received it to this day. It was something that one of the presidents, put out as a statement, and so it technically didn't constitute or put them in any fault finding, but it was some sort of acknowledgement of wrongdoing, if you will. But that's where it started at, that they said that they were going to repay us, but never did. And so, centuries later, here we are still waiting for our 40 acres in the mill.
So do you, because I know there's there's still discrimination, there's still with the redlining and the housing crisis, and there was actual lands that were stolen from the slaves, and descendants, they're trying to get it back. So do you think that before I ask that, what do you think is the appropriate form of reparations? To me, I'm more of, don't just give people money. Don't just give Black people money, but I'd rather you give resources.
Exactly, so, money and resources. Well, I say, money and resources. Every Black family or household, or just depending on, the situation of that person, should receive some sort of stipend, as well as, certain resources to programs, better access, definitely for, health care, especially when it comes to mental health, as well as, just being able to go to the doctor and buying prescription, medicine. And so they can help us or repay us in the ways that, they've hindered us. Like you said, with the redlining and the housing, offer, specific housing, even though they have HUD housing or, the housing vouchers or whatever. More can be done, if you will. I don't want to say favoritism, but favoritism, for those who are trying to go to college, waive their college fees for the first 2 years, loan forgiveness, or, as well as, increasing on, giving out business loans for those who are, black in business and trying to get their business off the ground. Like me, I just started my business last year. And so being able to go to the bank and try to get a business loan without any type of hassling or looking at my credit or my past history, and that being the reason why I'm denied, that would help if, banks were you to not, I'm not saying overlook it, but what's it called? Second chance loans or programs. I know that they were out there, but they need to be, I feel, more options out there for those, people who are struggling or trying to get their business off the ground.
Mm. So now, what do you say to people that are like, oh, um, black people are entitled. Black people just want us to give them stuff, and they're getting stuff for free. They need to work for their stuff. I worked for everything. Why they gotta just get it for free? What do you say to those people that say that, oh, black people are just getting everything and they just, they just want things for free and don't want to work for it?
Well, I can't speak for all, but I say not all black people are that way, because I've seen, black, white, and Hispanic people that are on, government living and don't want to get off of it. So it's not just black people. And now, for one, coming up, in the environment that I have been, I'm that type of person. Whether if I was black or white, I wanted to make it on my own. And so anybody who knows me knows I've never been that person who takes hands. I've always been that person to get out and get it on my own. But I do hear that a lot, that notion, oh, if black people, how can black people still be faced with racism when they're all starting their own businesses and, doing so well? Well, the fact that, we're finally starting, if a white man and a black man were to walk in the bank and ask for a loan at the same time, and the white man were able to get it quicker than the black man, for whatever reason, they both got bad credit as well as, or no credit, but however the white man is still able to get it, that still shows you that there's systemic racism out there. And so, to answer your question, Gabrielle, I don't want to. I don't want to say, contradict myself, but we.
You gotta think about it.
Yeah, I don't want to contradict myself, and then but I feel some part of me is that I'm a prisoner of hope. I don't want to give up and give in, but I'm also a realist, and so sometimes when you face reality and looking at it, the difference between, like I said, a black and a white guy going in the bank and getting their approval for the loan is the fact that he's a black guy and a white guy. They automatically are going to assume, that this guy, this black man's not going to be able to pay, the loan, or he doesn't have any good credit, or where he's from, he doesn't have good business deals. But, what if, like you said, ways to repay us or to help us, they would offer that type of services to where they help us build credit, loan forgiveness, or, even such credit repairs and programs out there. But mind you, again, on the other hand, they don't want to do that, because what does that mean for them? When we come up, that means that we can overpower them. So they're going to keep us at bay as long as they can.
And just going back to the history of Juneteenth, it took black people to let other black people know that they were free. So in some ways that applies to today, in that it takes black people to uplift other black people, and we have to, in a way, we have to do it for ourselves.
But you know what, Gabrielle, what I can't say about this generation, this black generation, I think this is a generation that's finally started to get it, the importance of us coming together and sticking together and realizing that it's going to take us to save us. Because we've been waiting so long and expecting for them to do it. They're not. That's what I've learned as when I was getting my mental health in check. That's what I've learned. What I went through as a child, it may or may not have been my fault. It was out of my control. But as an adult, it's on me to fix. It's my problem to go and fix. So in retrospect, with the Black community, what the white folks have done to us, it is not our fault. It was out of our control, but it is our problem to deal with, and it's on us to fix. Don't expect for them to fix right their wrong, because they're still in denial about it. You can't right a wrong when you don't want to accept the wrong that you've done. And so let's free ourselves from that mental bondage. Let's get out of that notion that, hey, they're going to pay us back, or we don't just talk about it, and let's just figure out ways of us coming together, sticking together, and coming up with a plan to help us thrive and elevate within our community. Chinese people do it. They got their own little network within the U.S. They don't go outside. If anything happened within their community, they don't go, to the police department. They have their own police people to handle that. And so that's something that we can benefit. We can learn from them, how they operate and have their own within the U.S. I would like something like that for us.
So we would have to come together a lot more to do that.
More black businesses coming together, networking and socializing and building, that chain of interest, as well as, it was, and I will say this, it did happen once. We did have that once back in 1921. For those who didn't know about the massacre of Tulsa, Oklahoma, where they bombed, a wealthy Black oil community, and they destroyed it. And so we did have that once upon a time. And so my thought is, if we had it once, why not? We can do it again and do it better.
So you're saying we should rebuild.
We should rebuild Black Wall Street.
But then isn't there the fear of being bombed again?
Well, it's different times now. That was 1920s. It's 2022 now. I don't think us Black folks are gonna go for that now. So
yeah, it happens.
And it's actually over 100 years ago. It happened 21, excuse me. So it actually made 100 years last year that happened. And so 100 years later, it's time to rebuild, pick up the pieces.
Mm-hmm. And then just be smarter about the haters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let me just get to this before we close. So what does this mean now that Juneteenth is a federal holiday? What does this mean? What do you think? I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think it means for the future, for the next 5 years, 10 years?
It's a start. Hopefully within the next 5 years, we have made much more progress. Now taking more initiative, acknowledgement, of wrongdoing in the past, as well as wrongdoing that's going on now and the present, with the death of unarmed Black people, being killed by a police officer. That's still a form of, slavery, if you will, or a reminder of the yoke that we used to have on our necks. And so it's my hope within the next 5 years, man, this next generation that's coming up, keeps the fire lit and keep it going. And I'm a part of that. So it's on me too, as well, to keep it going and keep pushing that envelope and keep it in their faces and let them know, we're not going anywhere. They brought us here, so they have to deal with us. And so as well as within the next 5 years, with my book, promoting it and getting the word out and spreading the message and, having that become a #1 bestseller and it being turned into a mini series and people learning and being educated about, our past and what we went through and hopes and talking about, a better future and coming up with ways to combat systemic racism and injustice in America. That's my hope.
All right. Awesome. All right. So we gotta wind things down now. So do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our audience?
I'm a real big advocate on mental health wellness and getting it in check. And so I'd like to just make this statement that for anybody that's going through any type of mental anguish, depression, anxiety, being bullied, feeling suicidal, or know somebody that is, please know that it is okay to not be okay. but just don't sit there and not be okay. Go get help. Go talk with somebody, being a therapist, family member, a friend, picking up a hobby, going to cut those off people off that mean you know well, or mending those broken bridges, doing something that frees you from that mental bondage and keeps you from going off the deep end and possibly taking somebody with you. If you need to, anybody out there that's watching or listening, please, if you need to, call 1-800-273-8255. That's the crisis hotline number. Or you can text 741-741, or you can go online to mentalhealthishealth.us. If anybody is listening and watching outside the U.S., you can go online to incounseling.com. It has a directory for all the countries' crisis hotline and phone numbers. It's spelled ENCOUNCELING.com. That's incounseling.com. So again, remember, it's okay to not be okay, but just don't sit there and not be okay. And so that's my words of wisdom, you guys.
Awesome, awesome. Beautiful words of wisdom. All right, Different. Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
As well
thank
you. Oh, yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I truly appreciate the opportunity. You're a queen, and you have a crown on your head, and you're rocking it oh so well. Don't you ever forget it. And my book, What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift, is available on my website, differentsworld.net, as well as if you guys are watching, you can go to my YouTube channel and subscribe and see all my videos I do on social awareness, as well as my travel videos. I'm an avid traveler. I like to travel all over the world. And so I have that as well. So differentsworld.net, again, spelled DIFERNTSWORLD.net is where you can get my book, What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift. Again, it's a book that's written to encourage and inform thought-provoking conversations about injustice and systemic racism in America. And it's done through graphic and provocative illustrations. And so, again, be advised that it's also intended for mature audience as well. And so, differentsworld.net.
All right. Yeah. So you guys heard it, right? So she has that book. Go to her website to get that book, Different, DIFERNTSWORLD.net. So go to her website and get that book. All of this information, of course, will be in the description. So in case you missed that, don't worry. Just take a look at our description. All of that information will be there. I do want to mention that she is, as she already discussed, but she is on social media, you guys. So she's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So definitely check her out on all of those accounts and follow her on all of those accounts. So if you want to learn more about her and her business, please check her out. Do you want to talk about your business a little bit?
Sure, yes, definitely. Again, my business, Third Eye Entertainment LLC, is a business that tries to bring social awareness to society through our products and services in which we educate, entertain, and inspire all at once. We talk about social issues that are considered taboo or often swept under the rug, again, such as injustice or systemic racism, raising mental health awareness, speaking on suicide prevention or domestic violence, even child sex trafficking, or even LGBTQ issues or rights. We speak on it all. And as far as our first product, I just mentioned my book being What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift. Again, it's a book that brings thought-provoking conversations, and it pushes the envelope. It makes you think. I also must state that for those who are out there and that get a hold of the book and that feel that it's a tool that's can be seen for Black people to uprise against white people. No, it's not. It's just simply a book that's meant to start the conversation that needs to be had and push the envelope. It's my hope and theory and my hypothesis is when we have these conversations, these constant and consistent conversations, then over time we can create systemic change. And so that is what Third Eye Entertainment is all about, pushing that envelope, bringing awareness and doing it in an entertaining and educating way all at once.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. All right, so I want to make sure we get this in. I wanted to play your video, so I wanted to take a moment and do that now.
Yay!
What if?
What if in 1619 Africans started dealing in slave trading?
The tables were turned around.
What if they kidnapped millions of Englishmen, women, and children from their homeland and brought them to America on a slave ship?
What if a controversial paradigm shift is a book written to inform and encourage consistent, thought-provoking conversations about injustice and systematic racism in America through graphic but provocative illustration? What If provides a different perspective by detailing controversial deaths and events as four categorized paradigm shifts: historical, political, precedent, and hypothetical.
Oh, that was brief. Okay, there you go. All right, so Different, thank you so much for joining me today.
How you like that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right, so thank you again for joining me today.
Yes, thank you so much, Queen, for having me. And again, you guys, remember, my motto for Third Eye is manifest, plan, prepare for whatever it is in life that you want, and it will surely come to you guys. Different swell, come and learn. Thank you so much, Gabrielle, for having me.
All right, awesome.
All right, you guys, welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed listening in to my audio interview I did with Miss Gabby from the Hot Topics podcast. Again, big shout out to her for having me on there. As you guys seen, this is when I first started out, and so we were talking about, my book, of course, What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift, as well as, systemic racism and just self-care, self-love, and social awareness in general. And so, again, I hope you guys enjoy listening to that audio interview. Be sure, definitely show her some love and check out her YouTube channel. I dropped her information in the description below. So, again, big shout out to Gabby for showing me love and having me on her show multiple times. This was the first time I appeared. This was back in 2021, and I appeared again this year for Black History Month, and so I did a podcast interview twice with her. And so again, definitely big shout out to her, and thank you for having me. Hopefully I'll get to come back again. And if you guys liked our topic and what we were talking about, definitely show me by liking, sharing, commenting, and definitely don't forget, hit that subscribe button. I truly appreciate all the love and support that I am getting. Keep it coming and don't stop. Moving on the Different World agenda, what else we got going on, you guys? Don't forget to hit up my website, differenceworld.net, and check out all of my other social media handles, my blogs, my news and events that I have posted. More than just one option, you guys. So that's why you got to come and learn about your girl. There you'll see my TikTok, my Instagram, my Twitter, as well as if anybody looking for any motivational speaker, would like me to be a part of any grassroots conversations or even podcast interviews, you guys can book your girl on my website, differenceworld.net. I am pro bono for now, but that can all change in a blink of an eye. So again, get it in while the getting is good and head on over to my website and book your girl. Yeah. What else we got on the differenceworld.net agenda? We have my book, of course. You guys definitely don't forget. Also on my website, my book, What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift. Be sure to get your copy. Again, this book was written to encourage and inform thought-provoking conversations about injustice and systemic racism in America. And I've done this through graphic and provocative illustrations. So again, please be advised it's intended for a mature audience because it has sensitive content. And so if you can't take this type of heat, still come on to the kitchen. Just get you a fire blanket. You'll be okay. You might get a little singed, but you'll survive. That's the point of it all, you guys, is having these conversations that need to be had that are often swept under the rug. People like to turn a blind eye to or pretend that it doesn't exist. that's the point of this book, is to, you know, not just ruffle your feathers, but to push that envelope to have these conversations. And so, you know, it's more than just, you know, pissing off the white people. It's about unity between whites, black, and people of all color coming to that round table and having these conversations about accountability, acknowledgement, and coming up with ways that we can create systemic change. So again, don't forget, go to my website, differenceworld.net, and get your copy of my book, What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift. I definitely appreciate all the love and support that I am getting, the reviews that people are leaving me on Amazon. Please keep it coming and don't stop. I definitely appreciate all the love and support that I'm getting. I got a feeling this year will be my year to just take off. You know, God can take you from the back to the front just like that. When you believe in yourself, you trust in His will, and you keep going and you keep persevering. And so that's just what I'm going to do. And so, again, thank you guys so much for that love and support. What else, you guys? We got next up, tomorrow is Thursday. So you guys know Thursdays we usually drop our pop culture review, either social media gossip or a movie review. I think I want to do a movie review. I'm not sure yet, but again, that's why you guys got to hit that notification bell and that subscribe button, so when I drop these content, you guys come into Difference World and you come and learn about your girl and come and learn what's going on in my world. Yeah. Also, you guys, before we get out of here, lastly, but most importantly, we have our mental health check. This is for anybody out there, including myself, that may be going through any type of mental anguish, mental stress, or even mental illness for that case. Please know that it is okay to not be okay, but never sit there and not be okay. If you need to, go get help, whatever that may mean to you. Talking with a family member, a therapist, a friend, getting on medication, you know, picking up a hobby, you know, dropping a bad habit, you know, mending broken bridges, you know, getting rid of people that mean you know well in life. Whatever the case may be, do whatever it is that you have to do to keep your mental health in check and not going off the deep end and possibly taking anybody with you. If you need, or if you know anybody who may need these mental health resources, please feel free to share it with them. I encourage you all. The crisis hotline number is 1-800-273-8255, or you can call or text 988, or you can text 741-741. And for those that would prefer, you guys can go online and visit mentalhealthishealth.us, or you can check out 988lifeline.org. Or if you're outside of the U.S. and you're watching your girl's YouTube channel, you guys can check out incounseling.com. Again, that is spelled ENCOUNSELING.com. So, and also, again, remember, although I am giving you these mental health resources, please remember that it is on you to do your own homework and your own research and find what works best for you. Because at the end of the day, you're the captain of your own ship and you decide where to navigate the waters. Lastly, in our tag, we're talking about mental health. Please remember that whatever trial and tribulation that you may be going through right now in your life, this too shall pass and you will get through it. So going off the deep end is not an option. It's not worth it. So don't do it. Okay? And so in close out of that, we're going to move on and bring back to the positive energy before we get up out of here, you guys. Again, I definitely appreciate all the love and support that I'm getting. If you guys like the topic that I'm talking about today with my podcast interview and you're enjoying them, show me by liking, sharing, commenting, and definitely, you guys, hit that subscribe button. I don't understand why y'all didn't hit it yet. Still. And as well as, you guys, don't forget, whatever it is in life that you guys are feeling that you are destined for, you have to manifest, plan, and prepare for it, and it will surely come to you guys. Difference World, come and learn. Peace.
What if?
What if in 1619 Africans started dealing in slave trading?
The tables were turned around.
What if they kidnapped millions of Englishmen, women, and children from their homeland and brought them to America on a slave ship?
What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift. It's a book written to inform and encourage consistent, thought-provoking conversations about injustice and systematic racism in America. Through graphic but provocative illustration, What If provides a different perspective by detailing controversial deaths and events as four categorized paradigm shifts: historical, political, precedent, and hypothetical. What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift by author Difernt. Go to differenceworld.net.